Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sir.
Nice to see you. I think you and Satish would like to leave early, so we will call you early to speak. Yeah, because you have organized the event there at Mumbai today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yourself and Satish, after the initial two speakers, we will call you. Okay, so that you can. Yeah, very nice to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to see you, and it's good that you organized the event today with everyone at Bombay.
No, this was fixed 1 month back.
Oh, is it?
Because
Okay.
Kesnur is retiring or retired.
Yeah.
We wanted to give him a good send off because he has been mainstay of our Bombay Ajeets.
Yeah.
And we thought that since he has done a lot of good work, apart from his own naval experience, he is one of our senior officers.
Yes.
So we decided to meet, and that was the reason for all of us to collect today. And unfortunately, Mr. G.D. Kale expired.
Yeah.
So we will start that get together with condolence.
Yes. Yeah. Please do that. Yeah. Do that.
Admiral, I should reach by about 7:45. Huh?
Yes, sir. That'll be fine, sir.
Yeah. Provided that these people release me fast.
I have to board a warship. Satish, you may have to board a warship. Be prepared.
Sorry to interrupt. We are live on YouTube, sir.
We are on live. Okay. All right. So we'll wait for 3 minutes. 6:37, 6:40 will start.
Sir, it's live on YouTube, sir. Better.
Well, I'm waiting for another 2 minutes. We'll be starting.
Bhaskar sir, Datta Kale is your relative?
Brother.
Yeah. Yes, brother.
I'll bring him as a panelist.
The brother.
Brother. In RBI. Yeah. Other family members of sir can be brought also onto the Maltesh.
Yes, sir, sure.
Yeah.
It may be a little difficult. But...
Okay.
Bhaskar sir, any more?
Okay. We are calling the Memorial Assembly. Friends, good evening and good morning to all those across the Atlantic Ocean. Namaskar to everyone. As we begin this solemn gathering, I call everyone into prayers. Please join me. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutang Mangamaya Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. In English now. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Friends, we are all assembled here this solemn evening to recall our memories of one of our most respected and revered Guru, Shri G.D. Kale sir. We are all here to share our intense experiences with him, pay tributes to the noble deeds he carried out while in the mortal frame, and pray for the departed soul. It is not surprising that everyone has desire to speak. That is the intense experience sir has had with each of the Ajeets. But given the time constraints, I would humbly request each one of you to be as brief as possible so that we are able to give an opportunity to everyone desirous of sharing the experiences and paying tributes and praying for the noble soul of our teacher. As I hand over the screen to the anchors of this evening, Akshay Patil and Umesh Sajjan, I would once again request every one of you to kindly cooperate with the anchors in confining to the time frame allotted. Namaskar to all of you. Akshay and Umesh, the screen is now yours. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Ajeets, Ajeet families, and friends. On behalf of the Ajeet Alumni Association, I welcome you all on this solemn occasion where we fondly remember and pay our profound respects to one of our greatest gurus at Sainik School Bijapur, our beloved Shri G.D. Kale sir. Kale sir was one of the founding faculty members of our alma mater, and through his service, both during and after his time at school, he played a significant role in shaping our collective thoughts. The virtue of being defined as an Ajeet today, and by extension the Alumni Association, owes a lot to his vision and forethought. Shri G.D. Kale sir left for the heavenly abode on 30th June 2022. Today, we gather together to cherish his fond memories, both collective as well as individual, and renew our pledge to the cause and mission left behind by the great soul. To begin the proceedings of today's meeting, I invite Ajeet Shri Samir A.H. to recite a prayer.
Good evening, everyone. Can
We will bring you on screen, sir. Yes, you are on screen. Please proceed.
Yeah. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This mantra has taught us over the years to accord highest level of respect to our gurus by equating Guru as the manifestation of Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. Kale sir was precisely that for us Ajeets. Thank you, and over to you, Akshay.
Thank you, sir. Dear Ajeets, I now call your attention to kindly rise in silent meditation for 2 minutes as a mark of our respect to Shri G.D. Kale sir. Om Shanti. Thank you all. Over the last couple of days, our social media groups have been abuzz with Ajeets sharing messages of tributes, recollections of fond memories, and several photographs and videos of their time together with Kale sir. Our young Ajeet, Amogh Byalad, has put together a video tribute. I now request our technical director, Ajeet Shri Umesh Sajna, to play the video, please.
Production.
We are all mourning the passing of one of our very senior teachers at Sainik School Bijapur, Shri Gopal Krishna Damodar Kale, who lived a full of 91 years before departing for his heavenly abode on June 30, 2022. He was one of the 9 initial teachers hired by the newly founded Sainik School Bijapur in September 1963. He had then joined National Cadet Corps and he was excited to don the outfit. He initiated the younger generation to don the defense uniform, of which he was proud and which gives an individual a worthy identity. His enthusiasm for hockey and leadership of school parades were both endearing. His students represented him for being a tough disciplinarian. During his 28 years as a professor at the SSBJ from 1963 to 1991, Kale sir trained the Ajeets to work in the country's defense services and prepared them for a variety of other jobs in the society. In 1991, Shri Kale sir retired from the Sainik School Bijapur after reaching his superannuation age. The establishment of School's Old Boys Association was greatly aided by Kale sir. He made every effort to win over the pass-out flock, also referred to as Ajeets, and he made sure that they actively participated in meetings held all over the world. He rarely missed a chance to spend time with the Ajeets. He always made an extra effort to discover Ajeets who needed assistance whether it was for education or a job. Sir, even though you must have physically left us, your blessings, your baritone voice, and your memories will live on in us. We ask Almighty to grant the eternal peace. Thank you.
Back to you, Akshay.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Amok, for stitching together a fitting tribute. I'm sure this has been just the small tip of an iceberg of heartfelt memories and moments which we shall cherish forever. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a host of Ajeets representing various batches and city chapters who will now be offering their condolences. It is a humble request to all the speakers to kindly keep their messages brief so as to allow sufficient space for all who are speaking and sharing their thoughts today. To begin with, I would like to invite our first school captain, Colonel BGV Kumar, to share his thoughts. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Ajeet Kale was more of a household person to us, our entire family, because he used to come and stay with us in Bangalore. And the prayers which we offered him in the beginning, he's one of the very few who deserve that. I'll just repeat it and close my talk. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om. Carry on, Akshay.
Thank you, sir. I now invite from the batch of 1968, Ajeet General K.N. Miji to kindly share a few words.
Dear Ajeets, what a journey of Shri G.D. Kale has been from 1963 to 1991 in school. We particularly, that is Colonel Vishwanath, myself and few lower batches, were fortunate to have seen him from 16th of September 1963. Though he was a teacher, very strict disciplinarian, as you all have known him, to us, particularly the first two batches, he was more like an elder brother, always at our trying to help us out in learning the nitty-gritties of a public school life. And he was more than a teacher, I would say. He has been a kind of a legend whose memories will stay with us forever. And even today, the teachers in the school, those who are served with him and those who are not served with him, hold him in very high esteem for the values that he cherished and he inculcated among the cadets. And of course, we as the Ajeet community, who actually, it was he who started this movement of Ajeets called OBA and later AAA. And he has seen it grow from strength to strength every year. And the AAA will definitely miss his guidance in the years to come. And I join you all in paying our homage to him. Amar Rahe Shri G.D. Kale. Jai Hind. Ajeet hai, Abheet hai.
Thank you, sir. Also from the batch of 1968, we have Air Vice Marshal Vikas Yechurvedi. I request you, sir, to kindly come on screen and share your thoughts.
Good evening to all Ajeets. Passing away of a phenomena is digest, especially when the person has been a great influence in all our lives. When we joined the school, we came across Shri G.D. Kale as we moved to mostly when Sanskrit was introduced to us in 9th standard, the mother language of all of us, and he was entrusted the responsibility of teaching it to us. The first thing that impressed us was his diction, because a passing of a person, you carry so many memories. There are the memories of the student, memories of the later.
I think Air Marshal Yajurvedi sir has lost his connection. Meanwhile, I'll request representatives from Mumbai, from the batch of 1976, Ajeet, Satish Maneshinde sir, to kindly come on screen and share your thoughts. So you may have to unmute, please.
Please unmute, sir.
Host is muted. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Friends, we're all gathered here to pay our condolences to our senior most teacher and Reverend Shri G.D. Kale, Gopal Krishna Kale. All of you know him after having joined the school. I was one of those lucky students who happened to have met Shri Gopal Krishna Kale much before joining Sainik School Bijapur. My father was posted in Gadag at the Taluka office as a clerk in the revenue department. And somehow he chanced to know that Mr. Kale had joined the Sainik School Bijapur as a teacher. And he had his relatives at the railway colony in Gadag. So probably because of that knowledge, my elder brother, who was then due to join the Sainik School, was taken to Mr. Kale, and along with my brother, I had gone to him sometime in 1964-65. After the examination, my brother was successful. So Mr. G.D. Kale requested my father that even the second boy, Satish, should also be trained to join the Sainik School. Both my brother and myself were from the Kannada medium school. So my father took extra pains on the directions of Mr. Kale to train both of us for the Sainik School entrance examination. And as luck would have it, both my brother and myself succeeded. So when my brother was in Sainik School Bijapur in 1967, I used to be taken every time to meet my brother so that I get motivated to join the school. And on every occasion, I went to the school to meet my brother. We went and met Mr. Kale in the Sainik School campus, new campus. Initially, his house was located behind the Hoysala house dormitories. There were two of them staying there. One was Mr. Matthias, Johnny Matthias, and the other was Mr. Kale. So I became very familiar with the campus much before joining the Sainik School. So the first thing when I joined Sainik School, I joined on the third day. And by then, the classes were also being allotted. So my father went up to Mr. Kale and told him that since Satish is from a Kannada medium school, my only request to you is that you put him with all the English medium boys in a section so that he can improve his English and flourish subsequently. And as luck would have it, Mr. Kale put me in that section. Though I was a dullard and since I did not have enough knowledge of English, last few ranks were always reserved for me. So every now and then, Mr. Kale used to call me, advise me as to how I must improve myself. He realized that I was all good in all other subjects other than science stream, like mathematics, chemistry, physics, and biology. So he always advised me that in case I am not interested in joining defense forces because of my poor knowledge in the science stream, I should concentrate on my extracurricular activities. So that is one of the reasons why I took extra care and enough activities in the extracurricular field. And I happen to be in the debating team. I happen to be taking part in the elocutions. And that is how I must say that my having been put in the A section And apart from that, my having participated in other activities helped me to become a lawyer as I'm today. So he has built up careers of more than 20 to 30,000 students in his entire career. And then he has made men out of the boys who joined the Sainik School Bijapur. During our school time, however strict he was and however nice he was, all of us hated his presence around us. But I must tell you that after we left the school, we know the importance of Mr. Gopal Krishna Kale. It is he who chiseled us, he made us what we are today. Apart from all this, after we left the school, because he was in contact with my family, he always kept contact with us. Apart from the fact that he knew us, he knew every student from the Sainik School Bijapur. He would locate everybody now and then. And it so happened that about 30 students from my batch were from Maharashtra. So wherever and whenever Mr. Kale could not locate those students, he would ask me to send somebody to locate them or find out from other people who are in Maharashtra. So in this fashion, all the 96 students from my class of 1969 to 1976, we have all their contacts. And thanks to Mr. D.D. Kale, he has kept all of us in touch. Similarly, he has done the same thing to other batches. All of us should create a memorial in his honor. And like my batch is doing, we are installing a statue of a bust of Colonel late Ravindranath in the school with the permission of the school. We should also install a bust of Mr. G.D. Kale somewhere in a conspicuous place so that everybody and everyone, right from the first batch to the last batch, knows as to who Mr. G.D. Kale was. And during the funeral rites, I came to know that Mr. Kale was not 91 years of age, but because his date of birth was wrongly recorded, he has been shown as a 1931 born, but actually he was 93 years of age. So all of us can imagine what kind of stamina and what kind of memory he had, because till the end, his voice never changed. The shrill in his voice always was there, and his laughter was the same. So we should honor him and see that his bust is installed in the Sainik School Bijapur, so that for all times to come, Sainik School will know as to who Shri Gopal Krishna Kale was. So with this, I conclude my respects to Mr. Kale, and I beg leave from you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I now invite from the batch of 1984, Admiral Krishna Swaminathan to share a few words.
Good evening, respected senior Ajeets and ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and pleasure for me to speak on behalf of my batch, 1977-84. Mr. G.D. Kale has meant a lot of things to a lot of people. Let me just very briefly, in the next 2 or 3 minutes, just bring out 5 points that I think are important in our collective memory of Mr. Kale. The first thing, of course, is that irrespective of our age, irrespective of what year we joined school or left school, all of us seem to have a uniform image of Mr. Kale. That is, of course, that he was a giant of a man. That was largely because of his uprightness, because of his qualities of head and heart, because of his ability to inspire and guide all of us, irrespective of our ages or our backgrounds, because of the strength of his character, and of course, because of his undying energy and enthusiasm to keep the Ajeet flock together. The second thing, of course, was that although he was a teacher, he was a lot more than a teacher. He was a great mentor. He was a life guide. He was a father figure for all of us for over 6 decades and an institution by himself. The third point, of course, is that despite several decades having passed, there is a certain vividness of memory when it comes to our association with him. We may or may not remember the days we won prizes in school for athletics or dramatics or whatever it was, but we certainly would remember a pleasant or not so pleasant encounter with him. You know, a lot of my own classmates, very seriously confess that they may not have remembered the special occasions in school, but they certainly remembered when they got a latch, when Mr. Kale came across them in the corridor and things like that. So all of us, have a certain vividness. It just shows what kind of imagination, we have, how he captured our imagination collectively, despite several years having passed. The fourth aspect that strikes me, of course, is that in the last 2 or 3 days, he's been described in a variety of adjectives. The remarkable thing about all of that is that all of those adjectives seem to fit, and each one seems more befitting than the other. And he answers to all of them so beautifully, which of course represents, indicates how what enormous respect all of us hold him in. His death, of course, it was a surprise to all of us, brought out a spontaneous outpouring. I think that's indication of how much respect we held him in, and I'm sure that this quick prayer meeting also is a manifestation of the same respect we hold him in. My last point, of course, is that there is a certain finality to the death, and that is a reality. There is an inevitability, and there is a definitiveness about it. But certainly, equally definitive are memories. And I think Mr. Kale will be remembered for long by all of us for the huge impact he had on our lives, and for the positive influence he had on the school for over 6 decades and for generations of Ajeets. And therefore, while we mourn him, his loss very deeply, may I suggest that we celebrate everything that he stood for and represented in our lives, and the positive influence he had on generations and generations of Ajeets and on the school for 6 decades. On behalf of my class, the batch of 1977-84, I pay him a great debt of gratitude for all that he's done for us. May he live in eternal peace and continue to shower his kindest and choicest blessings on all of us and on the Adnamyatar. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. I believe Vikas Yajurvedi sir has reconnected. May I invite you on screen, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead. Apologies for the disconnection. I will straight away come to 2 incidents which influenced me. The one was in the school, and I had the privilege of being the second house captain under his house mastership, that is Vijayanagar House in the new campus. And that at least saved me from the knuckle taps on the head, not hits, I would say, because I was the house captain and he wouldn't do that to me. And however, to flash back to the old memories, when I went as a chief guest for the 2003 school anniversary day, the principal showed me a warning letter given by principal to me, and my mind raced back to what had actually happened. As a house captain and as a monitor of my class, I failed to report the absence of 2 students, 2 of my classmates, I suppose, and they wanted me to name them, that I wouldn't do that, and it kept going up the ladder, and I was advised to a large extent, to a great depth by Mr. Kale, and thereafter taken up to the sort of a very strict headmaster we had, Mr. Harcharan Singh, Captain Harcharan Singh, Major Harcharan Singh later on, and thereafter to Wing Commander KD Singh, who was the principal. But I just kept repeating one sentence saying that I am the monitor, I am the house captain, it's my responsibility. I will see how to fix the problem. So I'll, however, not be able to give the names to you. So then the principal said, I have no choice but to give you a warning and also inform your father about it. And that's how the warning letter went to my father, which I came to know later on. And then it happened that Mr. Kale called me to his office and he said, okay, he said, let's go over this. And he had this typical way of saying, Vikas Krishnarao Yajurvedi, roll number 45. You are the stupidest person I have seen on this earth. You are the most idiotic. All you could have given me are those 2 names, and you wouldn't have got this warning letter. I said, sir, I believe I did the right thing. Then he looked at me quaintly and he says, get out of my office. And just when I was getting out of my office, he told me, come back here. You will make a good army or a air force, whatever you join, a good commander, because you stick by your people, you will fix them as and when required, and you will stand by them. I think so, but I don't know whether you're going to join. It happened in February 1968. That is when we had just given the UPSC exam. I didn't know my future at all. I was so terrified that I'll be thrown out of the school on this instant. But incidents happened later on, and we were very lucky to join the Indian Air Force. Of course, thereafter he kept in touch with us. And the second incident happened when I was posted in Jodhpur. and I was getting ready to go for this sortie in the MiG-23. The CO was a formation leader, and that's when I get told by my colleague saying that there's an urgent call for me. And I said, it must be some emergency at home. And so the CO said, oh, of course, go ahead, take it. And when I attended the call, during those days, there were no mobiles. It was all a landline connected through exchange. And who do I hear? Mr. G.D. Kale. And he says, again, Vikas Yajurvedi, roll number 45, you haven't called me for last 6 to 8 months. What has happened? So then I wasn't very sure how to engage him in conversation. I knew it's going to be a long one because he would take at least 5 to 10 minutes and he would ask questions about everybody, what am I doing, etc., etc. I tried to go through the conversation for 2 minutes when my CO started glaring at me. He says, can you come off the phone, please? And we are due for a sortie. So I was in a bit of a dilemma and I told Mr. G.D. Kale, I'm flying the MiG-23 sortie just now and I got to go. And he started saying, oh, MiG-23, how good is that aeroplane? I said, very, very good, sir, but can I talk to you about it later? And what I was trying to say was that he was a phenomenal person and with phenomenal interest in every person. After the sortie got over, luckily it wasn't too bad. So the CO didn't take me to task after that, but he called me to his office and said, who the hell was this that you engaged him in some frivolous talk when we were ready to go for a sortie? I said, sir, I'm sorry. And once again, he said, you must be really, caring for this person. I said, sir, he's one of the most respected teachers of our school. And he influenced all our lives in ways we will never know, in way ever comprehend, ever. And that's the way it was. Says, I wanted to give you a warning for your stupid behavior, but we also had a teacher like that. Teachers are something very, very different category of people. You can go out, and he didn't do anything to me. So I was trying to ask myself that we all talk very, very highly. We talk in superlative terms about Mr. G.D. Kale. But how much have we emulated? How much of the guidance he has given to us are we going to be? And he asked me this question once, Vikas Yajurvedi, you talk very highly about me, but what are the traits which you liked about me, which you are following right now? And I didn't have any hesitation in telling him, sir, inclusiveness. So he said, what? What is that? I said, sir, your ability to include each and everybody and to help, to connect, always be involved with everyone without a single bias. That is something I shall try and live by. And this is the time I think we can make that particular, take an oath, all Ajeets at least, that there must be something which impressed us from him and we can certainly emulate that. Lastly, I'll be failing if I don't mention two phenomenal names of my classmates, Ben Kumar and Ramesh Bhatt, who were extremely involved with him. Both are unfortunately no more in this world. Mr. G.D. Kale has joined them. And I think in a lighter vein, they must be figuring out between the three of us how to take forward the OBA in many ways that we could have never imagined. Thank you very much. Long live Ajeets, and Ajeet hai, Abheet hai.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we proceed further, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Vice Principal of Sainik School Bijapur, Commander Suruchi Gaur, and the staff of Sainik School Bijapur who have joined us through the gathering of the Bijapur Ajeets at the residence of the DC, Bijapura. I also acknowledge the presence of the former Senior Master of Sainik School Bijapur, Shri Ramamurthy sir, who has joined us on this call. Continuing, I now invite from the batch of 1969, Ajeet M.K. Shankar to kindly share a few thoughts on this solemn occasion. Over to you, sir.
Hello, Ajeets. I have heard all the tributes paid to G.D. Kale, Mr. G.D. Kale, who was not only my teacher, but he was also my classmate Bhaskar Kale's father. And I would like to share just a few very intimate moments with Mr. G.D. Kale, much after my leaving school. This was about 12, 13 years ago when I performed for a school gathering, an old boys association gathering. I sang a little bit of classical music, and I happened to have a teacher who's unfortunately no more, Pandit Dattatreya Sadashivrao Garud, who also comes from Gadag. And we had a long conversation with Mr. G.D. Kale about his roots in Gadag and what he told me after he heard me sing. And I was having a glass of beer in my hand, cold beer. He said, if you wish to be a good singer, you must stop drinking beer. And of course, it took me several years before, for various reasons, I stopped drinking beer. But that has kept me in good stead. And today, I have maintained my interest in classical music, and I continue to perform, and I remember him every time I am on stage. And second thing is, when I published an academic paper on classical music, again about a geometry of the vocal tract to help teach this classical music to students, and he saw it. Someone had published it in one of the school networks, and he called me and he said, I congratulate you. And I remember these two extremely intimate moments, and I remember him for the kind of inspiration he has had in my life, in my career. Thank you, Mr. G.D. Kale. Rest in peace. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. We also acknowledge the presence of the current principal of Sainik School Bijapur, Group Captain Pratibha Bisht, as well as the administrative officer there, Squadron Leader Akash Vats, who have joined us this evening in this meeting. Going forward, I invite Colonel P.N. Timaya from the batch of 1970 to share a few words. Over to you, sir.
He's not there.
All right, sir.
Okay. He's not there, so you can wait for him. You can proceed to the next speaker.
Sure. Right, sir. I invite Commodore Arvind Shiga from the batch of 1972 to come on screen and share a few words. Over to you, sir.
He has also not joined.
Okay.
Noted, sir. I think we have from the batch of 1974, Wing Commander Baba Jadhav, who has joined in. Sir, if you can come on screen, please. Wing Commander Jadhav, sir.
Can you hear me, Akshay?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. On behalf of the batch of 1974, we pay our humble tributes to Kale sir. Lots that has been said about him, and lot more that probably will be said. We most like to remember him as a very strict disciplinarian who always taught us the distinction between right and wrong, and we've never ever gone wrong on that count. On behalf of all of my batchmates, we pay our tributes to Kale sir and acknowledge all of the wonderful things that he has done in shaping the lives of boys and molding them into men. Ajeet hai, Abheet hai, and we will always remember Kale sir to our last breath. And I think we will go ahead with the idea that's been suggested about a bust of his that should be prominently displayed in a suitable, suitable place in school. And I think that will be a wonderful way to remember him from all of us ex-students. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity. Ajeet hai, Abheet hai.
Thank you, sir. I next invite Colonel Shakil Gundgi from the batch of 1981 to share his thoughts.
Good evening, dear Ajeets. It's indeed a matter of great sadness for all of us Ajeets to remember Shri G.D. Kale, but it is also a matter of remembrance for a person, for a man who has had such great influence on all of us. Our formative years were greatly influenced by Shri G.D. Kale. I remember very vividly, I was in Vijayanagar house. He had just given up the housemastership, but his legacy, his talk about his greatness as a teacher, as a mentor in Vijayanagar house kept on reverberating for us. So we realized very soon that here was a man who was totally dedicated. I, for want of a better word, would call him the Simon Wiesenthal of our school. Simon Wiesenthal was a Nazi hunter. And here our dear G.D. Kale sir was an Ajeet hunter. He reached out to Ajeets from small villages, small towns. He made those hundreds of calls, called up other Ajeets and tried to bring all our Ajeets into our fold. He's one of the major contributors for the OBA and now the AAA to be such a unique and such a successful, bustling organization. Shri G.D. Kale, I've had very close interaction with him purely for the fact that myself and General Suresh Nambiar, my classmate, were the only two students who studied Hindi from class 8th, 9th and 10th. Not an easy feat sitting across Shri G.D. Kale for an hour, 3 days a week, but he was such a different man, a strict disciplinarian otherwise, but he taught us the Hindi language with such finesse. His diction, like somebody brought out, was unique. His clarity, the timbre in his voice, superb. It's a matter of great privilege that when I went to NDA, everyone was surprised as how a boy from the southern state of Karnataka had such good grasp of the Hindi language. It was thanks to G.D. Kale sir. His forte in all languages, whether be it Hindi, Kannada, Marathi and English. Remember, we were all Kannada speaking boys mostly, but Sri G.D. Kale made it a point to speak to us in English. That was his way of ensuring that we all grew up with that language. He was a strict disciplinarian. He was more than just a teacher. He touched every aspect of our lives. He taught us the difficult right rather than the easy wrong, which somebody brought out, Wing Commander Jadhav brought out recently. That was the man. In fact, his longevity, he continued to serve the cause of Ajeets, reaching out to Ajeets who were not so very well off, bringing them to the fold, giving them opportunities, linking them with their schoolmates and classmates. That was the man. Besides the Ajeet school students, Shri Kale had a
I think Colonel Gundi's bandwidth is low, so we will move on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Salute Shri G.D. Kale sir, one of the legends like Lata Mangeshkar and Dilip Kumar. His influence will continue in our lives forever. Thank you. Ajeet hai, Ajeet hai.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Colonel Shakil Gundgi. I now invite Ajeet Prakash Tanvishi from batch of 1983 to come on screen, please.
Respected senior Ajeets, other distinguished guests and family members of Kale sir. When you start speaking about a person like G.D. Kale sir, the only discomforting feeling that we get is whether we are qualified enough to speak about this person. Look at the kind of teachers that Sainik School offered us. Each one was an erudite, learned, and dedicated teacher. But Kale sir was a different breed. he inspired a batch of students, and he had such an impact. And he shaped the careers of so many of us. He did not take the standards to a notch higher. He took it to the summit. He took it to the very top. That was the kind of that was the kind of impact Kale sir had on each of the Ajeets of Sainik School. On a personal note, he had given me a Herculean task of finding so many Ajeets. One fine day, he will call and say, "You are still posted in Ballari. There is a village near Ballari. Go there. There is a Ajeet who is doing farming. Find out, bring him into mainstream." On one fine day, he called me, gave me a list of 20 names. He said, "You are in income tax department. You will have their PAN numbers, permanent account numbers. Locate them. You will get their addresses. From the addresses, you locate them and report to me." That was the kind of passion he had for locating the Ajeets, connecting each of us. One fine day, he called me and said, "Ravi Ingalgavi has passed away in Jamkandi. Reach out to their family." Now, Ravi Ingalgavi was my own batchmate, long forgotten batchmate. But Kale sir remembered. And he gave us an opportunity to do something at least in his last journey. I also remember one incident narrated by my friend Colonel Mulimani. Colonel Mulimani never had any interaction with Kale sir, not much of a contact. One fine day he received a call. Kale sir asked him, "Are you posted in Chandigarh?" He said, "Yes, sir." "Right now, where are you?" "I am in Chandigarh, sir." "Go to Command Hospital. Colonel Kori is battling for life against cancer. Go help him." And Colonel Mulimani went there, met him. And whatever Mulimani did there brought a cheer, brought a smile on the face of Kori, who was not well at that time. This was the kind of connecting and reconnecting between the Ajeets, making them help each other. This is means this man is in his 70s, 80s, 90s, trying to connect us what he wanted at the end. If you think the only possible explanation is Sainik School was in his blood. He breathed Sainik School. And he had so much passion for the school, for the staff members, for the students, that it was inevitable that he was doing what he was doing. And my batch had the opportunity of listening to Mrs. Kale for a short time when we were in the school. I distinctly remember Mrs. Kale told us in her short speech that she was second wife of Kale sir. And she said first wife was and will always be Sainik School Bijapur. And we could see that in his actions. And this man could do this at the age of 70, 80, 90. I'm sure even now he's doing the same from top above there. He's looking at us, he's telling us to do this, do that. And believe me, we are going to be benefited from Kale sir even now and henceforth also. Kale sir will have a permanent place in the heart of each and every Ajeet. And his memories will always be cherished. And his passion for school is unparalleled in the history of a person doing so much for a school. Long live SSBJ. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request Shri Vinod Narsimha from the batch of 1987 to come on screen. Sir, kindly unmute and speak, sir. Thank you so much.
Good evening to all my fellow Ajeets. There's hardly anything that the later speakers can speak because most of it would have been spoken by all our seniors, and quite rightly. But to add to a little what I will. From my batch, I have actually interacted with my batch, and they also have given a little bit of their inputs from the memory that they could recall. Indeed, an unforgettable and a towering personality, no doubts about that. We had all our teachers were excellent. They were more than teachers, as it is said. They were all fatherly figures to us. But Kale sir, whom a few of our batchmates from Uttar Karnataka would call with a lot of love, Kale Master. And that's why we started addressing Kale sir as Kale Master. Very fondly, of course. And this we told Kale sir later, much later. We didn't have the courage when we were in the school, of course, to say this. And good, I got another title, he said, with pride. So we used to call him Kale Master amongst our group only. So that was a nickname that we gave him. He was highly impartial, highly principled, and no partiality whatsoever. I met him after 22 years in 2007 or so in Bangalore, and I walked up to him and said, "Sir, I am Vinod." And in his baritone voice said, "N.S. Vinod from Mysore." I tell you, for a moment I went blank. The colossal memory, elephant memory that he had, unmatchable. I have never come across anybody till date with that kind of a memory. And his selfless service to the Ajeet, like everybody said, he would pick up call and say, "Vinod, N.S. Vinod." He didn't have to tell who is speaking because that voice was enough. Even on the landline, I have received these calls on the landline many a time. Would pick up and N.S. That was enough for me to know who was speaking. There is so and so here, there is so and so there. Go find out, this is his roll number. His father was working in the LIC. I don't know where he got all this information from, but he reached out to make sure that we all somewhere congregate. Another thing, I have imbibed many things imbibed, but one thing stands out. One of my classmates, R.K. Patil, he was given some assignment by him, and he could not complete that. So when he came for the yoga class, we asked him in Marathi. So Patil said, "Sir, I was busy." He was also an athlete. R.K. Patil also was an athlete. So when he said, "I was busy," Kale sir said one thing: "R.K. Patil, a busy person always finds time." And that got etched into my mind. Till date, believe me, I have never told anybody I'm busy. This just cannot, and this I have told many people. And when I visited the school also, this was told. One of my classmates, Rangnath, who visited him in Mumbai, he's a runner. He does a lot of running. J. Rangnath at Bangalore. So when he went and visited Kale sir, and he told him, I came for a marathon and all that. So he said, "How come there is this change in your habit? Because you were never a runner in school." See, he such small things. I don't know how he could. Of course, I had also nicknamed him as Mainframe. Those days, when I began working also, he was a mainframe. I just don't know how he could remember all these things. And now, like it is suggested that we have a bust of this. Not only that, one more classmate of mine, Dr. Subbarao, he suggested that we have an award instituted in his name for maybe Sanskrit, for Hindi language, and for Yogasana. Because these things, of course, his oratory skills were excellent, crystal clear. So something like that, of that sort, if our seniors can, AAA can think about this, and we can have an award for Hindi language, Sanskrit language for the school, and this will carry the legacy of Shri Kale sir down to every batch, every Ajeet who join. This would be highly appreciable if people can put their thoughts on this, so that Kale sir will never be forgotten, even otherwise. But I'm sure slowly. But one more, in the lighter vein, I would like to remind people, Kale sir could address a gathering of 700, 800 of us without a mic. Without a mic. And this, we experienced one when he was speaking and the mic went off in the quadrangle. And he didn't stop. And I remember in a function that was held in the quadrangle, there was a small moonlight dinner that was started by Wing Commander J.S. Anand those days. That time he had imitated late Srimati Indira Gandhi also, the way she spoke. So there was humor in him, there was humane in him. He was a combination, perfect combination of all good and great qualities. Very strict, but still most loved. This is a very, very rare combination. Mostly strict people are never liked, or they're easily forgotten. But here is a man from whom we have inculcated so many things, so many things. Each one of us, in an hour of discussion, will not be enough here. But I'm grateful that I have got this opportunity to represent my batch. I pray for Kale sir's soul to achieve eternal peace, to attain Sadgati. And thank you all. Ajeet hai, Abhit hai, Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. We now have Colonel P. Madhavan from the batch of 1972 who will be speaking on behalf of his batch. Colonel Madhavan, can we have you on screen, please?
Yeah, he's joining as a panelist, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I thought I was on YouTube. I find that I'm on Zoom. So I'm honored to speak on behalf of the 72 batch regarding our Guru, Mr. G.D. Kale. Mr. G.D. Kale was a true Guru for every one of us. And I remember the way he used to, I mean, when he was in Bangalore and I was in Bangalore too, he used to give me a lot of tasks on finding out our classmates and others and bring them on to the Ajeets group. The amount of effort that he used to put in, I could never have imagined that I can do it. We are really grateful to Mr. Kale for the way he has shown us the way. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk for him and convey my condolences today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Going forward in the proceedings, I invite Commodore V.P. Ballari from the 1988 batch to come on screen, please.
I think there is a change. I'll be speaking instead of Commander V.P. Ballari. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to pay tribute to the greatest Guru of our lifetime, Shri G.D. Kale, on behalf of the 81-88 batch. It was early morning here in Washington, D.C. when I heard the shocking news of Kale sir. Suddenly, a gush of emotions engulfed me, trying to define who Kale sir was. In the interest of time, I want to share just 3 phrases that popped up in my heart and mind. The first phrase that truly represents Kale sir for me is the phrase fabric of integrity. That fabric of integrity that is layered with self-sustaining ethics and discipline. I strongly believe that the commanding voice was not derived from his vocal cords, but from different layers of that fabric of integrity. The passion to lay the strong foundation of integrity, layered with ethics and discipline within every Ajeet, reverberated through those vocal cords. His voice to me was simply a mouthpiece to awaken our consciousness and touch our soul. And that, my friends, I believe, is the reason why his words continue to ring in our ears and hearts even today. Kale sir was not just a teacher, but a Guru in the real sense, who continues to be the beacon of awareness. Personally, I pray to that Guru before Brahma. The second phrase, I would put him as a visionary leader. For me, Kale sir was not just a visionary, but a visionary leader who led from the front the execution of that vision to reality. He truly foresaw before anyone that the bedrock of building a strong community ensuring no Ajeets left behind in the journey of life, and propelling the foundational skills, the life skills that were imparted at school to the next level could only be made possible by building a strong network of Ajeets. He strongly believed in the collective power of Ajeet fraternity to be the cradle of support and harbinger of a cohesive and inclusive society. I'm truly blessed to have been one of his many soldiers in that endeavor, and hosting him here in US back in 2008 truly embodies his commitment to that vision. The final word that I would really attribute to Kale sir is the word altruism. Altruism is the practice of unselfish concern for the welfare of others. He deeply cared for the well-being of every Ajeet. He tirelessly worked even in the face of scarcity, and his never give up attitude to make a difference to the life of every Ajeet is what Kale sir truly represents. And that, my friends, is true altruism. By the way, studies have actually shown that people who are altruistic actually tend to be happier, healthier, and live longer. And guess what? 91 years of healthy and a happy life that Kale sir led is a testament to that study and trait. Today, we are truly orphaned by the absence of that beacon called Kale sir. For me, a fitting tribute would be if we all can imbibe even an iota of what he stood for, which is that fabric of integrity, which is imbibing and being a visionary leader and making altruism a way of our life, then I'm sure Kale sir will continue to remain that star in the galaxy of noble souls to show us the right path and be that Buddha who blessed us with the right buddhi. Thank you, and may his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I now invite Ajeet Shri Shivanand Kalkeri from the 1993 batch to come on screen and share his thoughts, please.
Shivanand
sir, are you on screen?
Could you please accept the panelist invite?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're on
Yeah,
screen.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Respected seniors and friends, today it's a sad day for us because with the passing away of Shri G.D. Kale sir, the Bhishma Pitamaha of SSBJ, it is no exaggeration to say that an era has come to an end in the history of SSBJ. Shri G.D. Kale sir was a legend. He was not just an individual, but an institution by himself. He was highly disciplined, and he was totally committed to his duty as a teacher and later as a senior master. He was gifted with certain sterling qualities. He was a man of noble character. One thing I must tell you, that he had excellent memory power. He would remember the name, roll number, and the address of every boy of SSBJ. Further, he would also tell you where he is residing and what is his profession, etc. He would remember the vehicle numbers of the whole campus. He was a complete teacher. His English was flawless. His handwriting was beautiful. He would carefully record the character of every student in the annual report card. Every higher school authorities like principal, headmaster, and the registrar respected him and valued his opinion and suggestions. He commanded the respect of all his colleagues. His greatest contribution lies in infusing dynamism in OBA structure and imparting momentum to the whole OBA movement. It was he who maintained and updated the OBA list without any personal agenda or any expectations. His quest to trace the untraced Ajeets was phenomenal. Since I being in the income tax department, He would give me the name and date of birth to search from our PAN database to find many addresses. Whenever I was posted, be it in Sangli, Kolhapur or Pune, he would mail me an Excel sheet containing details of local Ajeets. He was strict, and however, at the same time, he had great human qualities. One of my batchmates, Sangoli, had scored very good marks in all papers in SSBJ entrance except mathematics paper 2, in which his score was declared to be 0. When parents of Sangoli approached him, since he being the senior master and in charge for entrance, normally such requests are not entertained. However, after going through the facts of the case, he felt there was something fishy. On recheck of his paper, he had actually scored 85 marks. This was graciously accepted, and this inadvertent mistake was corrected. With this, Sangoli secured 5th rank in entrance. That was the magnanimity of Kale sir to accept a genuine mistake and correct the same. With this, I would conclude my speech. Thank you all, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear Ajeets, we are joined by Ajeet Deepak today from the batch of 1999. He also happens to be the grandson of one of our former teachers, Shri Subbanachar sir. His mother, that is the daughter of Subbanachar sir, has also joined us on the call, and I now invite them on screen to share their thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Akshay. Very, very sad to hear this news. Our batch is the first batch to come after Kale sir retired. Kale sir retired in 91. We all joined in 92, so we did not have the privilege of being taught by Kale sir. But then I was there with my grandfather Subbanachar sir since my LKG, and I studied in Sainik Primary School. So on my way back from the school B1, my grandfather Subbanachar sir stayed in B7 home. So the B1 to B7, whenever I took that right turn in front of their home, Mrs. Kale was always there smiling, "In Deepu, hegidiya, chanagidiya." So this were her common words whenever I passed through their home. So the memories of Kale sir and his wife are so fresh in my mind. So it is very, very saddened to hear the news. My mother shares a special bond with them.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, we used to call him Kale uncle. So I'm very, very sad to hear that he is no more with us. Actually, you know, he was not only the hunter for Ajeets, he was a hunter for all, even Sainik School family. He was interested in everyone's family. He was the one, he kept all of us so close. You know, he used to ask welfare about all my sons, what they were doing. And he used to ask about my father's health. And he used to tell me that you are so lucky to serve your father. Really, you know, all his blessings are with us. Though his heart is, his soul is departed, he is always in our hearts. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Another memory of Kale sir with me is when I took up my course of Chartered Accountancy, he actually called me up personally saying that I'm very proud of you not to go in this engineering and medical path and taking up a different course for you altogether. Yeah, it took time for me to clear my CA. So every year, one of the dreaded calls that I've been unwantingly, but yeah, he was always calling me whenever CA final results came. Deepu, enaitu. Sir, nothing, I could not clear this time. So this was one of my dreaded calls that I was, but finally in 2008 when I cleared my CA, he was very happy to hear the news. So that's very, very sweet of him. So it was
all his blessing that he's a successful CA now in Bangalore.
He even came for my wedding in 2010. So very, very sweet of Kale sir. May his soul rest in peace, sir. Thank you.
Achar's grandson, is it?
Yes, sir.
I just missed out for a while, so I could imagine seeing you and your mother that you should be the Subbanachar's pedigree.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much, Deepak sir, for sharing your thoughts. I now invite Ajeet Shri Shivayogi Kalsat to share a few words on this occasion.
Good evening,
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Namaste, I'm Shri Kalsar. I think I share the same sentiments with all my colleagues over here, and mostly all my seniors who had the first-hand exposure and experience of interacting with our Guru, Sri Kale sir. Way back in 1972, exactly 50 years ago, we from the batch of 1972 had joined and were exposed to such a disciplinarian, Sri Kale sir and his team. And we came across him as one of the most humanitarian person with such loving as well as strictness also. As we had a home away from home, we were living that particular environment. Our interaction with him was maybe mostly during the NCC classes or some of the classes in the Hindi. But my most memorable memories of Sri Kale sir was after I left the school and went into my other profession. As everyone had narrated, he had an elephantine-like memory, and he could obviously give a task to every person to trace out. In fact, I would say he was like a Google master, much before the Facebook linkages or the Google search engine. I think Sri Kale sir would act like that kind of a networking personality for everyone. My most memorable memories of Sri Kale sir was in the year 2013 when we celebrated the Golden Jubilee event in the school when we had invited the President of India and as a host to the Deputy Commissioner of Bijapur and as also host to the committee. It was my honor and privilege to escort Sri Kale sir and have the President of India felicitate our Sri Guru Kale sir. It was a very touching moment, and after the event had passed by, Sri Kale sir thanked me and the entire team of colleagues for organizing such a grand event. It was a touching memory. After that, also, we kept in touch with him. I understand that just about 15 days back, I think in one of the presentations of AKF, for a brief moment, Sri Kale sir was shown on the video, though he could not speak, but I think his son, Shri Bhaskar, gave away saying that he has suffering from old age complications. Be that as may be, I think we all will remember Sri Kale sir in eternity. May God ensure that his soul rest in peace. On behalf of my batch and all my other colleagues, I only wish that we seek his blessing in eternity. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. We also have a gathering in Bijapur going on presently where representatives from the school, the Honorable Principal and the staff have joined in, as well as the Bijapur chapter of Ajeets have joined in at the DC's residence. The DC, who's also an Ajeet, maybe have the Bijapur Ajeets come on screen, please.
Please accept the request to join as panelists.
Okay. Yes. Looks like they are going to be arranging some technical requirements. So we'll proceed further. I now request Ajeet.
Akshay, one second. I think they joined
yes,
as a
sir.
panelist.
You can invite Vijay Mahantesh, DC Bijapur, to speak.
Yeah.
Akshay.
Yeah, I think they can start. They joined as a panelist now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can invite Ms. Vijay Mahantesh, DC
Yes.
Bijapur.
So looks like there is no camera connected there at the gathering.
Yeah,
Oh yes, we can see you now. We can see you now, sir. Yes. Wait.
Sir, sir, good evening to everyone. Just because we had organized a local program here just before start of the 6:30 program, so none of us have, in fact, joined this speech part. Anyway, it will be repetition again, but however, I'll speak the same thing. So I was just saying, our 15th century poet, Mr. Kabir Das, in one of his couplet that, when there is a comparison between the Guru and the God, he said that, Guru is the one who teaches us the path to reach the God. So the glory of the God is above the Guru. The glory of the Guru is above the God. So one should touch the feet of the Guru. So that is how I was remembering how, Mr. G.D. Kale sir was one of the greatest Guru for each one of us. Like everyone, we had also fond memories in the school. He, in fact, totally changed our perception in our life. Today, if you all, very sincere, committed, dedicated, service, it's all because of the great foundation, the way Mr. G.D. Kale has led in our life. I was saying that today we live because of teachers, and the good teachers are always the endangered species. And Mr. G.D. Kale sir was one such endangered species. So he has been very, taking care of each one of us, even in the school and also after the coming out of the school. I was saying the same thing. He used to trace each one of us right from the roll number, house, batch, and also the profession, the family members, and also make an effort to reach out the Ajeets who are in difficulty and help them at their doorstep. So, like everybody said, we all, highly, greatly indebted to him. We cannot repay him, during our lifetime. The only best thing we can do is follow his ideas so that he can rest peacefully in his eternal sleep. So I pray Lord Almighty to give strength to bear this irreparable loss to all the Ajeet family members. So may his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Vijay Mante, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this occasion. May I also request the principal, Sainik School Bijapur, to share a few words on the occasion, if possible.
I think this looks like the DC's house.
Yes, sir. It is the DC's residence in Bijapur.
Bungalow. My God. What a gathering he has organized.
The members of association, the Bijapur chapter, as well as officers and staff of Sainik School Bijapur are present, connecting from there. Over to you, ma'am, please.
Good evening to all of you. I feel privileged to be heading this institution. With Kale sir, I've never interacted with him, but the kind of inputs and now the messages which has been pouring, absolutely Kale sir was so great that he's been connecting, and all my teachers have adopted the way he has led his life and the way he wanted his students to be. And I'm sure we all will follow his path, his way of teaching, his way of leading life, and whatever we can do from the Sainik School Bijapur in the memory of Kale sir, will be grateful. We'll be doing that, sir. Whatever the AAA suggests, we'll be having, and in the memory of Kale sir, we'll be having the scholarships or the bust, whatever you suggest, sir. It will be our honor to have it, sir. May his soul rest in peace, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for representing the school and sharing your thoughts on behalf of the school. Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed further. We have Ajeet Sanjeev Undri from the batch of 2001, who will be sharing his thoughts next. Sanjeev, sir, over to you.
Yeah. Hi, actually. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, it's quite a midnight here in Sydney. I have to tell you that it's quite a loss for all of us not getting a call from Kale sir and asking, "How are you, Mr. Sanjay Undri?" And that voice itself is something that I'm gonna miss on from now on. Kale sir, I was never lucky enough to get any knuckles, as all seniors have been saying, but definitely I've had words of wisdom from him back in 2005 to 2010 when I was in Bangalore. OBA activities, or any time I got a chance to interact with sir. I must tell you that one day, right after my marriage, I brought my wife to the OBA activities, and sir had because sir knew my wife was a Maharashtrian, so sir started speaking with her in Marathi, which I really couldn't really understand what sir was speaking. When my wife later, what she realized was that my husband has a very special connection with the school, and this sir has a very high big connection with the school, for which my husband has a very high respect. And till date, she realized the day before yesterday when I told my wife that Kale sir passed away, she was also sad. That kind of an impact is very rare to have. But really, as my whole batchmates have been saying, it was many times Kale sir used to give us some phone numbers of our batchmates and ask us to get in touch with them, see what kind of help they might require. And I regret one incident in my life which I should have not done. The day when Kale sir's son sir had called me up to give blood to sir in I think in Bangalore. We all traveled to Bangalore hospital to give blood. By the time
I think
we reached,
that was in Devi Shetty's hospital.
Yes, sir,
knee
Narayan,
transplant.
yes.
Knee transplant.
Yes, some of us were able to give the blood, and then because sir was still not out of the operational status or something, so I had a meeting, so I had to rush back to office. But then that was the last moment I could have had a chance to meet sir one last time and say, "Sir, how are you?" And I thought, okay, there will be time coming, but now after several years, I regret that I never got a chance to meet sir again. Day before yesterday, I found in my files a photograph of sir along with me. It was a very, very small photograph where sir is being facilitated and I'm holding the tray. And even there, I could see his smile, and I could remember a lot about sir on that day. Sir, you are a world ahead of us, and then we will always remember you, sir. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, sir. I now invite from the batch of 96, Major Sidlinga Hiremat, sir, to come on screen, please.
Good evening, everyone. This is truly an honor to pay tributes to one of our beloved teachers, a towering teacher and iconic personality, the G.D. Kale sir. When I heard the news of his passing, suddenly there were many thoughts, memories running through my head. The last time I had the memories of last time I had spoken to him, last time I had met him, and those special moments where I had interacted with him since beginning. My first encounter, or my first saying Kale sir, was when I had gone to Sainik School for my entrance examination. We're all made to sit in the auditorium, and he was arranging everybody to the respective examination halls. His voice, his personality, and his speech from the podium was electrifying. And next time, my vivid memory of meeting him next time was for my personality test after the entrance examination. He was one of the 3 panelists in the principal's chamber. I was called in. I was tutored well to attend the interview. Then principal asked me the first question. Why is Bijapur called Punjab? I could not understand. I was from a Kannada medium. Then it was Kale sir who translated the question, and he translated all the questions thereafter. And his voice, I still hear the echoes of his voice. So these were two incidents, which have left an indelible impression on my mind. And we were very fortunate. He taught us Hindi in our class 6th and class 7th. So his presence, the moment he would come to the class, he would make us sing this song, Titli Rani, kahan se, kaun si desh se aayi ho. A beautiful rhyme. Thereafter, he would engage us in teaching. I do not really recollect as to what I learned in the class, but he taught us those life lessons which have held us very steady throughout our lifetime. One incident I would like to recollect. Many of us had not completed the vacation homework, and I'm sure everybody would, those who have endured this would relate to this. We were asked to come to the senior master's room, and there was this long 6 feet stick, which was quite thick, and that terrified us. And within next day, the whole night, we completed the entire vacation homework. These memories are so fresh. These cannot taper off from the recollections of our mind, be it the school, classroom, auditorium, quadrangle. His presence was everywhere, in and out. That was how he felt. He guided us in taking life and facing it, taking it on, and many other things which I wanted to share have already been recollected. Many of my respected seniors. Oh, maybe most of us felt that he was very strict and very disciplined, very disciplining type of a teacher. But only after I left the school, we all probably realized that he was a great human. He was truly a guru. He was very interested in his entire students community. He kept in touch with wherever we went. Because I was in administration, and some of my friends who were in administration, we were always, we received calls, and with that metallic tone, he said, Siddhalingaya, and he would say, he would give me a number. He would say, this boy is from this village. He was, that is probably, the one of the lessons from army. No man should be left behind, and he left none of his students behind. He carried everyone along with the mainstream. He was probably the instrumenting factor. He was the one who was the guiding force behind the old students association that came up, and now AAA. He was an exceptional teacher, truly gifted, and had an iconic memory. I met him almost after leaving the school. I met him. I thought I met him after 20 years or so, and I said, sir, after I'm meeting you after 20 years. Immediately he recounted, no, I met you when I was traveling with Suresh Biradar in Bijapur, and I was for that purpose, and I met you in front of BLD campus, and I had completely forgotten. It was only then I recollected, yes, I had met him. And whenever he spoke to us with such affinity, such love, such affection. He talked to us about our lives, about what's going on, how are our parents, and he remembered the red Yamaha my father used to drive to school to meet me. He was one teacher who filled us with enormous confidence. Probably, if I would attribute something to him, like all teachers affect us, all teachers shape us, they all guide us, and we learn so many things from our teachers, and we become men from boys. But instilling of pride and confidence was probably his greatest attribute, and it is such a great loss that we have lost such an iconic personality, strong force of our school. He will be he will only be in our memories. It's so saddening and so frustrating at times. He's touched our hearts in a very special way that probably will never fully explain with these words. Before I part with my tribute, I would like to recite one stanza of the rhyme he would make us sing every day in the class. I'm sure most of you remember too. ये भारतवर्ष हमारा है, हमको प्राणों से प्यारा है यहाँ हिमालय खड़ा हुआ, संतरी सरी का अड़ा हुआ, गंगा का निर्मल धारा है, ये भारतवर्ष हमारा है। तन मन धन प्राण चढ़ाएंगे, हम इसका मान बढ़ाएंगे। जग का सौभाग्य सितारा है, ये भारतवर्ष हमारा है। These were probably the values he instilled in us. I thank you all for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, I invite from the batch of 2002, Shri Umesh Sachana to come on screen and share a few words.
Yeah, thank you, Akshay. First of all, thanks for this opportunity to represent my batch, to convey a few words, and also the condolences to Kale sir. One thing is, it's very, very unfortunate for all of us that we have lost Kale sir. And one more unfortunate thing, especially for our batch and all the junior batches, was that we couldn't get any live teachings from Kale sir. But the fortunate thing is that we were able to meet Kale sir so many times and took his blessings many times. There are very few people who have long-term vision, but there is only a rare breed or rare people who will have an everlasting vision. And that was Kale sir with his Ajeet movement, which is going to go into an everlasting journey. To compare, I think you all know that Padma Shri Salumarda Timmakka has planted thousands of trees, and she is a Padma Shri. Now here we have our Kale sir, who has connected thousands of Ajeets, and that is a journey which is going to continue into eternity for sure. And as long as this Ajeet Museum movement is going to be there, Kale sir's name will always be remembered and it will be cherished. To sum it up, these are the works of the revolutionaries, and Kale sir was no less than that. He was a revolutionary, and we are going to miss him, but then we continue to look up to Kale sir and then seek his blessings from here on forever. Thank you. Akshay, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. I now call upon Ajeet Santosh from the 2003 batch to come on screen, please. I think sir is not online, so I'll request Ajeet Sagar Maitri from the 2007 batch to come on screen, please.
Sagar, your voice is very low.
I'll speak.
Yeah, now it's fine. Go ahead.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, Santosh has joined, but he has not got that option to unmute like from 1903 batch.
Sure, sir.
Please.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Today I represent batch of 2007.
Shri G.D. Kale sir established several traditions at school, which led to creating good qualities in all of us today. And today, whatever we are, we owe it to our beloved teachers. Though I had joined school 9 years after his retirement, but still I could hear his legacy. Shri Kale sir has reached out to several unreachable Ajeets and brought them under umbrella of OBA or now AAA. As I was reading the last conversation between Shri Kale sir and Dr. Fazal Farooqi sir, Kale sir highlighted the importance of moksha and good karma. Dear sir, God sent you on earth to improve lives of many of us, and now you are abode in Paramatma, and all we can expect are huge blessings from you to help us carry this Ajeet spirit forever, which we all owe it to you. Thank you. Thanks, Akshay.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Ajeet Shri Kumar Swami from the 1997 batch to kindly come on screen, please.
Good evening, all. Good evening to the family members of Shri G.D. Kale sir, members from the SSBJ fraternity, and all the Ajeet. So I could basically connect to a few of our classmates, and here is what we sum up. That's our tribute and few words to Shri G.D. Kale. So we were so lucky to have sir as our schoolmaster and Hindi teacher for 2 years before he retired. We kept searching for him in our every new senior master. That was the lasting impression he created with his matinee works. Highly dedicated to his work, meticulous, strict, and one who held the dignity of his post to highest. He very well felt the struggle that we newly joined kids experienced and molded us to learn the rules of being a disciplined and future-ready cadets. A few instances that my classmates quote that speak very high about his character as a model teacher and mentor are: once the monitor of our class, Jagdish Hosmane, he had written homework in a hurry in a different subject book, and he went and placed this in the pile of the notebooks which was getting checked by sir. After which Jagdish was very happily relieved that he escaped the punishment for the day. His confidence was also high, as he was himself, he felt that he was sir's sweet boy. After checking the notes, sir, being always observant, also saw the other pages of the notebook and found that it's written in a different book. This angered sir so much, Jagdish had to receive 4 tight slaps. Jagdish and all of us on that day saw another principle of sir. Shri G.D. Kale was a disinterested teacher, that is, who was not influenced by considerations of personal advantage. Another instance was he used to catch students who could not recite Hindi count, but he was involved in his profession of teaching, and he cared so much that we learn. So many have got the taste of his strict education that has shaped us well for rest of the life. We fondly remember his skills of memory, where he remembered our names, house roll numbers so pictographically. He was a unifying magnet, connected us to every Ajeet. His guidance, mentorship, thoughts, and principles will continue to inspire our batch in the years to come. Shri G.D. Kale sir, you will be deeply missed by all of us. You will ever live in our memories. Ajeet hai, Abit hai. Thank you for giving me this opportunity on behalf of the Ajeet fraternity and my batch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request Shri Maltesh Jivanavar sir from the 1975 batch to kindly share his thoughts.
Good evening, sirs, and good evening, friends. the very event which we are doing is purely because of Kale sir's efforts. He has created a Bhagavad Gita for all Ajeets. If you do any event, you have to take the information from Kale sir's database. See, I doubt we can influence 10 people in our life, but Kale sir is going to influence, has influenced, and will be influencing all Ajeets in future. The only request I would request Kale sir to, that when we join you, sir, please don't slap us how we used to slap in the school. Be kind to us. That shiver in our ear still after 50 years of school, that slap, and the uniqueness of his slap was he used to hit in such a way that the ear should touch his hand. So that shiver is still lingering us, sir. So when we all Ajeets come, you will be always our teacher there also. But that still voice should never be compromised, sir. We thank you very much for what we are. And God comes through gurus, and you are one such guru that every Ajeet is proud to say that I am a student of Kale sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maltesh sir. And I now request the chairman of the Ajeet Knowledge Forum, Dr. Sudarshan Satija sir, to kindly share a few thoughts on this occasion.
Thank you, Akshay. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So much has been said about Shri G.D. Kale, sir, our guru. Shri G.D. Kale is only the person with whom I was in touch since I left the school, till the last talk I had with him on 7th of April when we invited him for AKF Forum to join us. Every year, he used to call at least once and definitely ask, oh, Delhi party boys are not in touch with each other. Let me have the number of so-and-so, so-and-so, as everybody has said. And Kale sir used to ask every year, the health of my parents, my kids, and whatnot. It's very difficult to talk about Kale sir now, because having heard about him, the last time we saw him on 11th of June, it was really interesting to see him, and we are all very happy when Bhaskar sir brought him on the spotlight. Because of his difficulty in hearing, he had to leave. Kale sir was our guru not only at school for the last 7 years, but will remain our guru for years to come and forever. It's an opportunity given to me. We pay condolences to the family, and the family is even Ajeet family. Thank you so much, Akshay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Shri Ashok Dalwai to kindly share his thoughts on this occasion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Akshay. We have heard to the deep thoughts of love and affection, respect and reverence that Ajeets across their batches, from the young to the old, have shared about our respected Guru, Shri G.D. Kale sir. I can recall and would like to share with you the message that Kale sir sent to Fazal Farooqi. Fazal is my classmate and a dear friend. And as all of you know, himself a philosopher, poet. And both of them shared a very personal relationship. Fazal being the ward of Vijayanagar House, of which Sir was the housemaster. The reply that Kale sir sent to Fazal epitomizes his whole personality. And that personality stands substantiated by all that you have said. Let me quote what he wrote. The philosophy tells that we must strive hard to avoid the rebirth. Just note this. What high thought that he had in his life. One takes a rebirth to face the sufferings for the unwanted actions of a previous life. So our sages preach that we must be busy with good and only good actions, including our thinking, imagination, speech, looks, etc. We must always be busy with good actions to avoid rebirth. This is what Sir reiterated. As I mull over this thought of Kale Sir and various dimensions that all of you have painted of him, I cannot but emphasize that Kale Sir was a yogi. And as Swami Vivekananda said, we need all the 4 yogic margs to become a complete person, to attain realization, to liberate ourselves from the cycle of birth and rebirth, and attain moksha. And this is what Kale Sir strove in his life, and he certainly has succeeded in entering that abode of liberation. And what are these 4 yogic marks that Kale Sir followed? We all know of Jnana Marg, or sometimes people call it as Gyan Marg, which primarily leads one from ignorance to knowledge. The ignorance being that we do not know ourselves as to what we are. We identify ourselves with what we see in the world and develop attachment with that. But knowledge is to transit from that unreality to the truth that we are also an Atman, a Brahman. And this Jnana Marg is what Kale Sir was following, that he is part of the universal soul. And secondly, he also adhered to the principle of Raj Yoga, which has been so well expounded by Swami Vivekananda. That is, transiting our mind from scattered status to a focused status, where the mind then gets concentrated on God or Atman or whatever we want to call, or pure consciousness. And this is what Dr. Kale Sir was following, from a non-meditative mind to a meditative mind. And then we are aware that once we understand the true nature of ourselves, that we are part of that universal soul, Advaita, there are different ways to realize that. The simple folk follow what is called a bhakti marg. And that comprises of rechannelizing our desires and passion from all that we see in the world to a larger cause. And that is focus on God. So that itself is a very efficient and effective way. And this is what Kale Sir was following. More important than all these things, the one that was very obvious to all of us and that stands out very emphatically from all that you said, was Karma Yoga. In the common perception, Karma Yoga means adhering to the mandated responsibilities with sincerity, dedication, and devotion. Adherence to responsibilities as mandated does not fulfill one to be called a karma yogi. A karma is what we have carried with us from life to life based on the actions, the nature of actions. But a karma yogi in this life moves away from selfishness to selflessness. That means one goes beyond the mandated responsibilities. All that our friends placed on table this evening shows that Kale sir was not only carrying out his responsibilities as a teacher and as a guru, but more importantly, he had been able to detach himself from the attachment with his immediate family of children and others and treat all Ajeets as members of his family. When we kept saying that he was so keen to connect with every Ajeet and help that boy to come up in life, it is a manifestation of his selflessness. While most of us who are also now into elder ages are still concerned about our own families, here was a man who spent 31 years after superannuating from school building the fraternity of Ajeets. And one thing that all of us need to draw a lesson, and I shall never forget that, is his total faith and commitment to the cause of inclusiveness. That is what Air Vice Marshal Vikas Yajurvedi brought up, and it was reiterated by others. Inclusiveness, that is somebody who has been left out. Can that boy be helped? This particular lesson, this moral lesson, this ethical lesson, this passion, compassion, are what I can today draw and say, can this be one of the important commitments of the Ajeet Alumni Association? It is very easy to celebrate the success of those who have achieved. It is very easy for us to identify ourselves with people who are under the arc lights. But I think the lesson that we have learned today, as we pay tributes to our Guru, is can we continue to celebrate his approach to life by identifying Ajeets and Ajeet families who are in need of a helping hand. If you look at all these things, we have had a person, not just a teacher, we have had somebody, a compassionate and altruistic human being. And an important lesson to take home is, it's not important as to what kind of position we occupy in this life. What is more important is what we do with our life. Are we expanding the horizon of our thinking, of our speech, and our action to consider this whole world as ours? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is what our philosophy, our culture teaches us. And this is what our Guru Kale sir lived for. We are all extremely grateful to him for all that he taught us all through the life. And we continue to be guided by him as young boys, as grown-up men. And it's very rare that we come across such teachers. We were destined to be his students, and we are destined to be guided by him from wherever he is. A lot of suggestions have come. We should certainly keep all the suggestions that you have made in mind. And as Madam Principal of Sainik School Bijapur said, we are very much willing to do anything that is required to cherish the memory of our Guru. Madam, thank you very much. You are one of the first principals who believes in partnership. We must thank Government of India for having opened the gates to responsible positions to women in military style schools and military itself. And you are proving that you are so different from everybody else so far. You are breaking the glass ceiling. We remain grateful to you and your colleagues and all the staff there. And I take this opportunity to thank Kale sir's family, Colonel Bhaskar Kale and his brother Datta, who are not only Ajeets, but they are our brothers. Since Kale sir was a fatherly figure to all of us, we become your brothers. We will continue to see sir in you, and our prayers that God blesses you all and all of us with the fortitude to bear this irreparable void that sir leaves. And we all together pray that sir's noble soul rests in eternal peace, and we shall continue to seek his blessings, his guidance, and he shall be with us for all times. Namaskar to everyone. Om Shanti.
Thank you so much, sir, for summing up all our shared thoughts. I now invite the President of the Ajeet Alumni Association, Shri Gopal Hosur, to kindly make the presidential remarks and share a few thoughts on this solemn occasion.
Thank you, Akshay. Colonel Bhaskar, my 1 year senior at the school. Again, a very highly respected officer, and your brother Datta, with whom I have interacted a couple of times, and all Ajeets who are on this show and who are on the YouTube and probably who may be seeing this program sometime later. The sun has set. The sun has set on the glorious life of our revered teacher, Shri Gopal Krishna Kale. It set in 2 days back, but Kale sir lives with us. His times continue to live with us. He has gone into eternity, but he's always there, he's visible. I must thank Dr. Ashok Dalwai and his team, extremely dedicated team, to have organized this program at such short notice after we had a brief discussion yesterday. Thank you, Dr. Ashok and your team, for organizing this tribute ceremony to our revered teacher, Mr. G.D. Kale. I think I must also remember Dr. Funchal and Dr. Ashok Dalwai now, who have stepped into the shoes of our revered teacher, Mr. G.D. Kale, to carry the flag of Ajeets higher. And the kind of efforts that you are doing to get us all together is extremely commendable. And today, unlike on other occasions, we are meeting on a very solemn occasions. Blessed is one who dies on his feet. Blessed is one who performs all his duties and responsibilities in life and who again dies in peace. Sri G.D. Kale sir, I must say, has lived a good life, an exemplary life, a life which is worthy of emulation by each and every one of us. I still remember, I can recall a lot of speakers today speaking about him and a couple of his great characteristics they were able to identify. One of them, of course, was his baritone voice, his legendary voice that used to engulf us right through. And as Raj Galgali from the US rightly said, it did not come from his vocal cords. It came from deep within. His memory power, his passion for life, his commitment to the cause that he was in for is something which is extremely admirable. Speaking of his baritone voice, I can give you one small example of which I am a witness. G.D. Kale sir never taught my class. He taught only those who opted for Sanskrit. We're all from Kannada medium. Those from non-Kannada medium went in for Sanskrit classes. And in the new campus, there was one shloka which used to resonate right through the building. Akasham patitam toyam yata gacchati sagar. Now this is a Sanskrit shloka which G.D. Kale sir used to recite to his class, and the whole building would resonate with this. And I can, 60 years down the line, maybe 55, 60 years down the line, I can still recall that Sanskrit shloka because Mr. Kale used to say it to his class and the class used to repeat it after him. And the same baritone voice used to resound in the corridors of the school, in the mess, in the assembly hall, in the parade ground. Sometimes when I just close my eyes, I keep on hearing that baritone sound in my mind. His image keeps on coming in front of me. That is the kind of impact that he has had on me, and I'm sure it has had the similar impact is there on many of us who have been his students in his days. And those who left, who were not there at the school when he was there, I'm sure I would like to tell you a brief background of G.D. Kale sir for your benefit. He served in the school for 28 long years. He was one of the among the first 9 teachers who joined the school. And today, if at all, what is Sainik School Bijapur? It is to the contribution of these 9 rishis who joined the school, who were mentored under Wing Commander K.D. Singh and his team. They were all non-locals. Most of the teachers were locals, but the kind of attachment that they brought into the system was so strong that today Sainik School Bijapur stands high and tall amidst all the Sainik schools in the country. So Mr. G.D. Kale has played an extraordinarily big role in bringing Sainik School Bijapur to the level that it is today, and many of the younger students should know that you are taking advantage of the contributions of the founding fathers of the school. He joined the school in 1963, in the year of its inception, and retired in the year 1999. But a few details of G.D. Kale sir will be opt on this occasion. Shri G.D. Kale sir was born in Dharwad on 8th June 1931, subject to the correction what Satish was mentioning in his talk this evening. He said it was 2 years earlier or something like that. And this was 16 years or 18 years before India obtained independence. So he had imbibed all great qualities of the demands of that time, to be totally committed to be a true nationalist. He studied at the Vidyadan Samiti School in Gadag, and initially, like everybody who completes his matriculation, becomes a teacher. He became a physical education teacher at the same school that he studied. But later, he was not the one to give up. In those days, he did his graduation, Bachelor of Arts. In those days, much before independence, he did his Master of Arts from Banaras Hindu University. You can't imagine, see, today we speak of a lot of big qualifications and so on and so forth. In those days when the country was down with poverty, illiteracy, and so on and so forth, malnutrition, Mr. G.D. Kale stood out to get himself educated. And I'm sure he must have gone through a huge challenges in those years, in his own formative years. A disciplinarian to the core, extremely ethical, tough when required. And as Satish rightly mentioned about his thunderous laugh, whenever he laughed, it was from his whole body that he laughed. It would create vibrations across the people who were around him. And whenever that situation demanded that laughter, but the rest of the time, he was an extremely tough disciplinarian. He was very precise in all that he thought, and he did. Many people mentioned about him having an elephantine memory. They mentioned about him remembering the names of the Ajeets, the roll numbers of the Ajeets, the places from which each one of the Ajeets has come. It's not a joke remembering, as Baltesh rightly said, he had a computer brain, much more than Google. He could recall any name, any roll number, and the place from which he came, and what his parents were, and what he was doing, and so on and so forth. I'll quote an anecdote from my own experience. Myself and my batch, 4 of us were traveling to Jabalpur for an SSB. The people accompanying me were Vinod Gauri, Vinod Joseph, and one more. I am able to, if I am able to recollect his name. Before our departure, he said, your train will leave Bijapur at 10:30 p.m. It will reach Hutgi Junction at 11:34 p.m. The train will halt in Hutgi for 45 minutes. After that, the train will start, and then you will make your journey to Jalgaon, Manmad, and all the distances, the times at which you. In fact, he had the whole railway timetable in his memory. That was a phenomenal person. I'm sure Bhaskar would have experienced it much more than what we experienced. He was meticulous to the core. He could remember and recite everything that was practically needed for somebody who was trying to make a journey. My colleagues, Dr. Ashok Dalwai and others, drafted a small script for me to deliver today. I thought I'll break that rule, but however, Ashok, I'll stick to it now. So I'll go through that. The reverence that Kale sir commanded from all Ajeets is born out of the heart, touching emotions and tributes that were showered by all the Ajeets on hearing their Guru's final journey. It emerged that most had received at least one call, one personal call from him. Whenever he should have reclined and relaxed, he chose to be on his feet. He participated in most of the school get-togethers organized by different Ajeets in different places. He not only traveled across India, but also has traveled to US to build the Ajeet fraternity. In May 14, 1922, was the last major event. I think he attended one more event very recently. I think we should correct that. It was an Ajeet Knowledge Forum event. And despite his advanced age, it was never seen on his face. His face was all the time beaming. We could find that he had, despite all that old age and strain that he was going through, it was never reflected on his face. There is so much that we, all his students, have learned from him and shall continue to be guided by his sane advice. Kale sir led a purposeful and fulfilling life. He knew how to balance his commitment to society and the duty to the family. Such outstanding family and the relationship, a couple of photographs that were shown in the video that was presented to us, such a nice, well-bound family all together and all looking so good. We shall remain influenced and guided by the way G.D. Kale sir adhered to his philosophy in his life. We all need to balance professional and personal lives. for a very healthy society, on which Dr. Ashok Dalwai also touched today. The Ajeets fraternity from across the globe joins the bereaved family of G.D. Kale sir in praying for his noble soul, a father figure to all of us, not just to Datta and Colonel Bhaskar Kale. May his soul rest in eternal peace, and may he continue to bless us from the heavenly abode. Kale sir and his memory is linked to his unparalleled service to the Sainik School Bijapur and to the Ajeets Alumni Association. It will remain etched in golden letters at all times in all of us. On behalf of the Ajeets and Ajeets families, I, as the president of the Ajeets Alumni Association, offer praise to the noble soul of our beloved Guru and pray the Almighty to bless all members of his immediate family and the Ajeets fraternity with fortitude to bear his invaluable loss. Om Sadgati. But at this time, now I slightly go away from the script. I saw on the screen somebody posting a favorite song of G.D. Kale sir. चलते चलते मेरे एक गीत याद रखना कभी अलविदा ना होना. So I think I assure all the Ajeets, the AAA, that the Alumni Association and the school will never ever forget his memory. We'll go on the path that he has laid before us. We'll build up a more stronger Alumni Association in the years to come. I must also thank M.K. Shankar is one very elusive person. One of the most brilliant from the Sainik School that I know. I think Bhaskar will agree and many of his classmates would agree. One of the most brilliant Sainik School guys. You were able to bring him before us today, and he paid his condolences. And more important is Subnachar sir's family. It's such a nice thing that we form a great, good family of togetherness. I once again thank the organizing committee of this event for bringing so many Ajeets together at such short notice and paying homage to our dear departed G.D. Kale sir. And as Ashok rightly mentioned, a lot of suggestions have come. We'll discuss these suggestions. We'll formulate a strategy as to how these suggestions can be implemented in the days to come. And I'm sure the name of G.D. Kale sir will be Amar in our hearts, in our campus, and because we are spread out in the society, his name will go into the society. Thank you, Colonel Bhaskar Kale sir, for being here despite all the ceremonies that you definitely be doing today and all that. And once again, thank you all. Thank you, Akshay, for this opportunity. Namaskara.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear Ajeets, over the last 90 minutes or so, we have listened to Ajeets across the batches, across the generations, who have shared their poignant memories in their own words. I would like to take this opportunity to speak on behalf of all the Ajeets that we shall strive every day and every moment to tread the path and the footprints left behind by our beloved Shri G.D. Kale sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined today by members of Kale sir's family. I now request Ajeet Colonel Bhaskar Kale, son of G.D. Kale sir, to say a few words. Colonel Bhaskar, over to you.
Good evening, friends. I'm deeply moved by these fraternal feelings that you all have expressed and all that you have said about Mr. G.D. Kale. I'm not saying my father, Mr. G.D. Kale, because for me, I'm an Ajeet also. So for me, he's Mr. G.D. Kale and also father, but G.D. Kale is how I'll refer to him. One of the points that most of the speakers said about him was meticulousness, good planning, etc. One personal example of his planning and the way he used to write down and execute things is
we are two brothers and two sisters, and in each of our case, the day before the marriage, he used to have a small diary written down, and he used to call us separately, make us sit in front of him and say, you're getting married tomorrow, and these are the things that you should, this is the way you should behave, this is the way you should conduct, this is the way you should treat your wife, this is the way you should save. And he says, now after your marriage, now I won't tell you. Now here it's for you to execute what I have told. He would go to that meticulous, planning and briefing. He passed away on 30th of June. As he was sitting in the chair, the time came and he just left us off. But I'm sure if he had known that he is going to take leave of us at 11 o'clock on 30th of June, he would have definitely made notes and written a proper script to say goodbye to all of us. And having known him a little, I can only imagine what he would have said. If time to go is 11 o'clock, at 10:30, he would have called me and said, I have got my script ready. Will you call a Zoom meeting and, get all these following people? I want to talk to them before I go. And probably he would have said, like Frank Sinatra, he would have said, and now the end is here. And so I face that final curtain. My friend, I'll make it clear. I'll state my case, of which I am certain. I have lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more. I did it my way. He would have said this to all of us, and I'm sure he would have taken this opportunity to thank each and every person in his life, and the most important ones in his life were the Ajeets and SSBJ. To them, he would have probably said, I have been a very lucky farmer, and I must thank each one of you. You have given me so much of happiness, but it's not my doing. The SSBJ has been such a fertile field. I have been lucky to have such a fertile field. He would have said, the wonderful seed, the students that I got, that is the cause the harvest is so good. I am very lucky to have the seed that was of top quality. He would have said, the principal, registrar, they were top quality consultants whenever there was trouble. And to provide the fertilizers, to provide the pesticides, he would have thanked the administrative wings of the school. And he would have said, I have just done my bit, but I have just been a lucky farmer. He would not have forgotten to thank the government to give that steady, flow of funds to the school, which is like guaranteed irrigation, which is very necessary to run the school. And I'm sure he would have said, I have just been a lucky farmer. I've had good seed, a good field, good irrigation, good backup, good consultancy. So thank you all. And with that, as the time would be 11 o'clock, the curtains would have been drawn, and you would have said bye-bye and namaste to all of you.
Yeah. Bhaskar, thank you for being here today. GD Kale sir would have been an extraordinarily good police officer. And maybe Ashok Dalwai will also accept that he would have been a great agricultural scientist because he knew how to track and trace.
Good. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're all touched. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
In fact, many more want to speak, but we have to put a stop to this after the address of the president and response by Ajeet Bhaskar Kale sir. So I'm very sorry that other Ajeets who are still very eager to speak, we are telling them sorry. We will have other occasions to share these poignant moments. we shall do that. So I'm just expressing my regrets and personal sorry to all of them. Yeah, Akshay, you can go ahead, please. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you, Colonel Bhaskar Kale, for joining us. We pray strength and fortitude to you and the family to bear this irreplaceable loss. I take this opportunity to thank all the Ajeets who have gathered in large numbers across different cities today to pay their respects. I also thank the principal staff as well as former staff of Sainik School Bijapur who have joined us today. With that, I would like to recite a Sanskrit shloka, which Gopal Hasur sir was just mentioning from the Mahasubhashita Sangraha, which happens to be one of the favorites of G.D. Kale sir. Akashat patitam toyam yata gacchati sagaram sarvadeva namaskaraha keshavam prati gacchati. With that, we conclude the event. Thank you so much, everyone. Ajeet hai, Abit hai, Jai Hind.